Alrighty, so hopefully you did end up sticking around and you watched the previous part, but if you did not, unfortunately we did have some technical difficulties, and so this point is not going to be like we did the other ones where we normally do them live, and we're going through everything smoothly. This one, to kind of show what we did do, because I can't really salvage the footage per se, or at least it would take way too much time for me to attempt to. We're just going to go through some highlights of just the things that we ended up doing. So, right here we end up talking to our main man D, and basically with D we're going to get access to the beast clergymen, which are basically some formalities of a setup for it earlier. We kind of talked to this guy right before you get to the Tibia Mariner. He wants you to not mess with Deathroot, but you end up doing it anyway. And then we come over here to the Bestial Sanctuary, and that Deathroot that we ignored D's advice and ended up collecting, we end up giving to this guy, since he wanted us to replace this guy, wanted us to replace D anyway. So give him X amount and you get stuff for it. I want to say you get the eye first, then the talisman, or maybe the or seal, or maybe it's the seal then the eye. But either way, seal for casting bestial incantations, and then the eye for finding more Deathroot. I know where a good bit of it is early on. Past the first 4 to make him transition, I really don't know. Haven't gotten that far into the game, but that is kind of the point why we're doing it how we are, so we can continue and actually get further into the game. But I think I either did not have enough, or I should have just given him all of it at once. No, actually, I'm tweaking. I remember this was actually B-roll footage, so I tried to get every possible dialogue. But we did end up going there. We unlocked that, which is one of those things I just try to do to get all the sites of grace. But after dealing with him, we ended up dealing with Kenneth Height. This guy wanted us to go take some rando fort for him, which is funny because it's the Knight of Godric that actually has taken the fort over, and this guy ends up kind of tweaking over Godric being a big girl's blouse, as he says. But he does offer some advice to us, lowly tarnished as we are apparently, that we should beware of Godric's hunts. Well, in a couple of parts we'll find out why that's not that big of a deal. Godric is the big girl's blouse, the pushover that everyone says he is. He may have yielded to Melania, but he's not yielding to me, because even if he cries and begs to Godfrey, he's still catching these hands. But like I said, Kenneth Height wants us to go and go and clear his fort. Go over there, and it really doesn't take too long to clear it. You can either actually go the slow and methodical way, clearing every individual enemy out, or you can do what I did, which very quickly you will see the pinpoint assassin approach, where you just go in, take one guy out, get what you need. But you do also want to head that way, because this guy apparently is kind of a big deal. At least I'm gonna assume he's a big deal because of what's in his fort, because you would think that this is just a rando fort. And funny enough, at first when I was just playing the game, I kind of thought he was talking about Castle Morn, which would have made a little bit more sense, Castle Morn being a castle. But no, Castle Morn was not what he was talking about. He was actually talking about this little tiny fort that has half of a Dectus medallion, which we'll need to get into Altus, I believe. Speaking of Castle Morn, we did take a little bit of a detour, because we end up coming over to Castle Morn, because Morn gets us one of the weapons that we're going to be using early on. Something fell. Sorry about that. Something fell and it caught me off guard. But we are going to be going to Castle Morn to be getting one of the early items. But it's not in Morn, you just need to be done with Morn. And we get to fight one of the guys I am not the hugest fan of, Leonine Misbegotten. And in this particular playthrough, which in the Let's Play I did not do this, but in this when I was trying to just get extra B-roll footage and do it differently, be a little bit more hands-on. But normally I would just Scarlet Rot Breath and let that damage over time sink in and then try and attack them, you know, be more aggressive that way. But unfortunately this build either did not have it or I just purposely chose not to use it for the purposes of recording. But Leonine Misbegotten is just one of those bosses in particular that is kind of feisty. That's a +6 weapon, I believe, and a +6 Morning Star. So it should have had good bleed damage on it as well, and it still took a couple swings with flaming strikes or flame, whatever it is that gives it the fire buff. But you know, still took a little bit. That being said, we're done with that. Now that that's clear, we get to go deal with Mr. Edgar. I forgot. I did. Oh yeah. So the problem was I did not have the stats. But yeah. Now we deal with Edgar. He's mad because Irina, his love, his daughter, ended up getting killed because he was neglectful, being a dummy, sitting in some random castle, not getting the sword he could have easily gotten, because his weapon, that +8 halberd right there, would have easily wrecked butt. He could have easily, with no problem, probably killed the Leonine Misbegotten. You know, if my +6 Morning Star could do it, that halberd could. Spinning strikes or whatever that is, spinning what, I have no idea what it's called, but does decent. He has a heal, it's also decent. You don't want to play with him. He's pretty aggressive. He does, you know, pretty good damage. You know, like I said, just based off what he's doing, if you play with him, he could probably get pretty far up there. You know, with what he got, he probably could have, you know, beaten. Well, now he need more heals. If he had more heals, you know, a more effective heal, he could have probably fought Godric. But without that, not enough. But back to Mr. Height's fort, just the actual fort that we needed to be in. We're gonna nip over and do it the surgical way, like I said, where we just run straight in, go after one guy, and it's literally just this. Well, I guess two guys. But this knight right here is all you really need to do. And if you're stupid like me, you'll get hurt. If you're smart and you're good, you don't have that problem. But spinning strikes him and he is done. That easy. And then I think there's one item over here. Grab that because I always forget it, although it's not really important. And then what you do want to grab is the Dectus Medallion half, which is up here. We did not get the other half yet. You can get both halves like you can literally skip straight to that area within the first few minutes of the game if you beeline to each part. Speaking of, and it's just something that I've come across that I think I would like to do. But first I want to cover real quick, although this won't last long either. We did take out a demi-human queen, although with a +8 blood weapon, blood flame weapon. As you can see, demi-human queen means absolutely nothing, but did get crystal burst and did get the is it the demi-human queen scepter? Whatever the actual catalyst is. But we did get that. Then we did do some more catacombs. Now this part I could miss some. They could be the wrong ones, but just insert catacomb bosses. I know I did Erdtree, so I tried to leave Erdtree out. But Black Knives, really easy with a holy weapon apparently, but she also is at half health. Actually I would just say it's a +8 and she's at half health. I would say that's the real big deal. But clearing out these catacomb bosses was something else that we did. Really weren't too difficult. just a couple of other things to grab real quick there. Those resins and whatchamacallit. And then we nip over to the Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel. Now here, real deal, we just need the bell bearing. Yeah, screw that type of stuff up. But we really just need that. And on this particular run, I do think I streamlined for it, although I do die. We'll see actually in a few minutes if I actually die. Should have probably cut this part out. Although, when I did go through, I went through a little bit more thoroughly. I grabbed really +3s. I think there was like 2 or 3 +3 sombers here. +1 and 2 smithing stone, regular smithing stone. There is the crystal knife, the strength int, I think it's strength int, or maybe X int. But it's a little dagger here. I think that's the only other real thing is a note. And then, like I said, the main boss being the Crystallians, which are also easy. We also, even if, because I'm not 100% sure on the order we did it in the Let's Play, whether or not we had Castle Morn done already, or if we had to, you know, double back. But we did end up doing revert back to the Morning Star either way, because the Crystallians are weak to strike damage, and that is kind of the main reason why it gets upgraded. If it wasn't for the fact that I want to get the Crystallians just to get other weapons, yeah, this is where I die. That's literally a possibility. No matter how many times I do it, you can always get caught lacking. But for the rest on, I think I'm pretty surgical about it. But yeah, like I was saying, now I've lost my train of thought. I did double back. This is one of the sombers. I did not grab that at first, but we're gonna grab that now. But like I was saying, Crystallians are weak to strike. We wanted to grab that one. If we did not need to, I probably would just do the Morn stuff and have the halberd. But the fact that I want to upgrade other weapons other than the halberd, like having catalyst, or I keep calling them catalysts and seals. There's seals in this game. I actually don't know if there's sorceries get called catalysts too, or they're stabs. But anyway, the things for sorceries and incantations. Big deal is, I like having those upgrades, bows. Sometimes those end up being relevant to the build. You know, I don't usually upgrade shields too often, but you know, and other times you have backup weapons too. Like sometimes, like I said, some bosses are particularly weak to certain things. Other times you just kind of want to, your build lets you do it, so you kind of want to branch out. But other than that, that's really the big deal about coming here, having the ability to diversify that your loadout some. But other than that, the boss is pretty easy. Now I'm going to skip, because if you go off the side, you could have got some other goodies. I think +3 sombers there. But like I said, on this one we just went very surgical. We just want to get in, get out, and then you know, grab the somber. And again, like I said, they're very easy. Like this is actually, I'm lying, I missed. I forget there are 2 elevators in this place. I hate platforming in these games. I 100% hate platforming in these games, and because of that, I always go about them very terribly. But once that is done, you go over here, take these guys out. Again, also weak to strike, so clearing them out becomes really easy. Probably don't even really need to, but there are some smithing mats over here. And then the main thing is grab this elevator. If you grab that, even if you do die, you got your shortcut unlocked. Now the funny thing is, I run over there and don't actually grab it. And now I'm like, do I second guess myself? Am I gonna go back? I did not go back. This is how you know I'm bold and confident. I actually didn't even grab the elevator, because you do need to activate it the first time. But I decided I'm just gonna run through it. Now if you hit it right, you got upgrade materials and you would have got a knife. But apparently I was not interested about any of that stuff on this particular run. But again, that's all stuff that you can just easily grab. And here is where you can also drop down, and this is where you would have got those +3s. But all things that you would probably watch them, like Fighting Cowboys 100% guide years ago when they came out. So not 100% focused on covering every last aspect. But yeah, like I said, I want to give you a good idea of the different things that we did. So we got different tunnel bosses. We took out some of the catacomb bosses. Went back and did some of the Erd trees as well. I knew we took out the Erd tree, one of the Erd tree avatars in Leonine of Lakes. We did that one, got the erupting Crystal Knot here. I don't think I showed that just because it's literally the exact same fight. Every last one of them are the exact same fight. Sit on turret, throw lightning bolts, throw magic sorceries, fireball, whatever the ranged option of the day is, and then just pelt them until they're gone. Also, rot poisons. Yeah, rot poisons. But scarlet rot, we use that to whittle down health. We also nipped over here. I think we're wrapping up for the day too, but we grabbed the frozen needle. This is pretty much our free boss. This is a couple thousand runes every time, just 2 needles, 2 quick heals, and we got our access to frozen needle. Not necessarily important for this build, but like I said, it is free runes. You get it just for having heal, and I pretty much always have heal because I'm kind of a collector that way. And then we pretty much wrap up with going through fighting Margit. Right here, I don't know if I have my Scarlet Rot. I don't know exactly how this particular one is gonna go, but I do know that when I did it on my LP, of course, we Scarlet Rot. Although we do summon Rajier because I don't know how quest lines work in this game, but usually with Souls likes, if they have a quest line, you usually continue it by using them in the boss. Some games are forgiving and they have to survive, other games they're not. I just usually summon them and hope that they survive. If they don't, I'm not restarting the boss fight. But I'm almost 100% certain you do not need them to survive. You just need to have them, make an appearance. And making an appearance, as I should say, will be my good old Scarlet Breath. Because like I said, that's just the easiest way with these early bosses. It just takes all that damage down in the background. Then you can focus on doing actual damage. And it's not that it's required in any way, shape, or form to get past this. Like, you can literally, with the +8, +6, really probably, hell, there are people who do challenge runs at this with +nothing. So, +nothing, so level 1, new game +7, like, it's easy. It's really just how much time do you want to dedicate. And that's really the thing. I enjoy the games, but I'm going to play through the games so many times that I'm not going to dedicate, more time than I have to certain bosses. After the 15 times of playing the game, if I feel like I want to spend 20 hours playing it, and plus with New Game Plus, I'll get a chance to play them in longer duration with harder hitting details and more things to worry about. But that being said, we're coming close to the end, so I do hope that you enjoyed. I do apologize for the format for this one. In the next video, we're going back to our normal one, so hopefully I will see you guys then. Take care and enjoy.
And become the Elden Lord.